I used to think an upset stomach after a meal was no big deal. That was until the day Eleanor, one of my longtime patients, 72 years old, was rushed into my office by her son. She had been experiencing severe stomach cramps, a low-grade fever, and non-stop diarrhea for 2 days. And what did she eat that day for lunch? Just a simple bowl of leftover rice. Reheated from the night before. If you're over 60 and you regularly reheat your meals, like most folks do, you might not realize this, but some foods that were perfectly safe the first time can actually become harmful when reheated. According to a 2023 report from the CDC, over 48 million cases of foodborne illness happen each year in the U.S., and seniors, those over 60, make up nearly 1/3 of hospitalizations. Even more concerning, 1 in 6 people over 65 ends up hospitalized from food that was improperly reheated, even if it looked, smelled, and tasted just fine. Now you might be thinking, I've been reheating rice and leftovers for years. Never had a problem. Here's the truth, not every food can be safely reheated, and not every digestive system, especially after 60, can handle the same things it once could, because with age, digestive enzymes begin to decline, the lining of our gut becomes more sensitive, and our immune defenses against foodborne bacteria become weaker. In this video, as a doctor who has spent over 3 decades studying digestion and elderly health, I'm going to walk you through, heavy checkmark for everyday foods you should never reheat after 60, because they can trigger bacteria, toxins, or chemical changes that harm digestion and even raise cancer risks. Heavy checkmark and 4 surprising foods that actually become healthier, easier to digest, and more powerful if you know how to reheat them the right way. This isn't a scare tactic, this is a wake-up call, from science, from clinical experience, and honestly, from the heart of someone who's seen too many good people suffer because of one small, well-intentioned mistake in the kitchen. So if you tend to reheat yesterday's rice, leave sautéed greens in the fridge for 3 days, or can't even remember when you cooked that egg casserole sitting in your fridge drawer, then this video might just be the life-saving guide you didn't know you needed. Don't look away, because the next few minutes might completely change the way you treat your food and your health. Spinach, from superfood to silent threat if reheated wrong. If there's one vegetable I've recommended to nearly every patient over 60, it's spinach, rich in iron, vitamin K, folate, and lutein. It's wonderful for the blood, bones, eyes, and even memory. But there's a truth about spinach that very few people will tell you. When you reheat spinach, especially in the microwave, it can quietly transform from a golden food into a hidden risk for your body. Frank is a 68-year-old retired PE teacher from Florida. Healthy, plant-based, and proud of it. He loved his greens. One Tuesday afternoon in March, Frank came into my clinic feeling nauseous, bloated, and slightly lightheaded, not long after lunch. And what did he eat? A cold pasta bowl, reheated with sautéed spinach from the night before. It was a quick microwave meal. That led to a long, uncomfortable day. Initial assessment, digestive upset likely triggered by nitrate breakdown products, normally harmless, but turned problematic when exposed to heat a second time. Spinach naturally contains high levels of nitrate, a perfectly safe compound when eaten fresh or cooked once. But here's the catch, when spinach is stored in the fridge, then reheated, especially in the microwave, nitrate begins to break down into nitrite, and in the presence of stomach acid and high heat, nitrite can convert into nitrosamines, a group of compounds that include known carcinogens. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, 2015, a 2021 study published in the Journal of Food Science Nutrition found that reheating leafy vegetables high in nitrates can increase nitrosamine content by 2 to 4 times compared to freshly cooked. Not everyone will react to reheated greens, but people over 60 are especially vulnerable, particularly those with slower digestion or reduced liver detox function, taking acid blockers or long-term antibiotics, which disturb gut flora, a history of stomach ulcers, chronic anemia, or liver issues. In these individuals, even small amounts of nitrosamines can cause digestive distress, low-grade inflammation, or nutrient absorption issues over time. So what should you do instead of reheating spinach? Eat smart, not just warm. That's what I tell my patients. If you've got leftover spinach from dinner, whether steamed or sautéed, don't reheat it. Instead, toss it cold into a quinoa or barley salad the next day, layer it on whole grain toast with a hard-boiled egg and a few slices of avocado, or blend it into a smoothie with banana and almond milk, cool, refreshing, and full of gentle energy. Other nitrate-rich greens should also not be reheated, including watercress. Beetroot leaves, arugula, all of these are wonderful raw or freshly cooked, but don't heat them twice. Eleanor had a rough stomach for 2 days. But for Frank, it was a wake-up call. Even good vegetables can hurt you if you don't handle them right. I'm not afraid of spinach, I'm afraid of how people reheat it. Then assume that hot means safe. Dr. James, Internal Medicine, Florida, still have spinach sitting in your fridge from last night. Don't toss it, repurpose it, make a fresh salad in the morning. Your body will thank you by lunch. White rice, the silent carrier of bacteria in seniors' kitchens. White rice, it's the most common dish in homes across the world, from breakfast bowls to evening meals. For many of my older patients, rice is the glue that holds every meal together. But here's what most of them don't realize: white rice is also one of the top causes of food poisoning in seniors when reheated the wrong way. Larry, 74, had been living alone since his wife passed. Every night, he'd cook just enough rice. Half for dinner, half saved for the next day. One morning, he came into my clinic feeling weak, mildly cramping, and had been experiencing unexplained diarrhea. No fever. No vomiting. Stool tests later revealed traces of Bacillus cereus, a bacteria commonly found in leftover rice that hasn't been stored or reheated properly. I only microwaved it for 2 minutes. I thought hot rice meant clean rice, he said, clearly puzzled. This isn't some exotic microbe. Bacillus cereus lives naturally in soil, dust, and air. When rice is cooked, most of the bacteria are killed, but their spores, a kind of sleep mode, survive. And that's where the danger begins. If rice is left at room temperature for over 2 hours or cools down too slowly, those spores wake up and produce toxins, the kind that survive heat. So even when your rice looks steaming hot, the toxin remains, and your microwave won't destroy it. According to the Journal of Clinical Microbiology, 2019, Bacillus cereus is the leading cause of rice-related foodborne illness in the U.S. and Southeast Asia. Its toxins are heat-resistant and can survive boiling temperatures, 100 degrees Celsius. Why seniors are more vulnerable? Weaker digestion and lower enzyme levels make toxin breakdown harder for the aging gut. Thinner gut lining increases the risk of bacterial imbalance, diarrhea, and dehydration. Seniors on medications, especially diabetes drugs, heart meds, or antibiotics, face even higher risk. Common mistakes when reheating rice: leaving rice in the pot with the lid on traps heat bacteria multiply. Microwaving a large clump of rice outside gets hot, inside stays cool. Not remembering when the rice was cooked. It doesn't smell bad, so it's probably fine. Rice isn't the problem, it's how we store and reheat it that matters. After cooking, let rice cool no longer than 30 minutes, divide into small portions, store in shallow containers, cover tightly, and refrigerate immediately. When reheating, only warm the portion you plan to eat. If using a microwave, stir halfway and ensure the center hits at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit 75 degrees Celsius, if possible. Reheat using a steamer or stovetop for more even heating. Never reheat rice more than once. Each cycle increases the risk of survival for harmful bacteria. A sobering stat, according to the CDC, 2022, improperly stored or reheated rice accounts for nearly 20% of non-meat foodborne illnesses in the U.S., and of those hospitalized, 37% were over the age of 60. Smart swaps for safer meals. Try brown rice or quinoa. They're easier to portion, refrigerate well, and offer more fiber and resistant starch for blood sugar control. Use cold rice in bibimbap, rice salads, or wrap it in nori with veggies. No reheating needed, still delicious. Seniors may walk every morning, eat their greens, and take their vitamins, but one wrongly reheated bowl of rice can still knock them off their feet for a week. I don't want you lying in bed from something as small as that. Dr. James, internal medicine. So the next time you reach for leftover rice, ask yourself, did I store this properly? Because after 60, every small detail matters, and a little extra care can save you from a week of discomfort. Eggs. When proteins turn harmful for aging digestion, if there's one food that nearly every nutritionist agrees is a natural superfood, it's the egg. Just one egg offers nearly everything: 6 grams of complete, highly absorbable protein, choline, a vital nutrient for brain health and memory, vitamins B12, D, E, and A, critical for bones, nerves, and immune support, but all of those benefits are only true when the egg is cooked properly, and eaten fresh. Once the egg cools down and is reheated, especially in the microwave, things can start to shift. Dolores, 70, a widow living with her daughter in Arizona, came into my office one morning feeling bloated and mildly uncomfortable. She mentioned some digestive upset that had lingered for days. I had this egg casserole, so tasty, just reheated from last night's party, she explained. I asked, that casserole had eggs baked with milk and cheese, right? She nodded. Her tests showed reduced digestive enzyme activity, especially pepsin, which is essential for breaking down animal protein, and the reheated eggs. Not only had they become rubbery and tough to chew, but they were twice as hard to digest for someone like Dolores. Why reheating eggs becomes a digestive burden after 60, protein becomes denatured and clumpy. The first time you cook an egg, proteins like ovalbumin and ovomucoid unfold, making them easier to digest. But when you reheat eggs, especially at high heat in a microwave, those proteins get further denatured, forming tighter clumps. For aging digestive systems with lower enzyme output, this makes the egg much harder to break down. Bacterial risk from uneven heating. Eggs are rich in moisture and protein, perfect for bacterial growth if left at room temperature too long. If you reheat them unevenly, which often happens in the microwave, the center can remain cool, allowing salmonella or other bacteria to survive, according to the CDC Foodborne Illness Report, 2022. Over 23,000 hospitalizations in the U.S. each year are linked to salmonella, nearly 30% of which involve adults over 60. Many are traced back to eggs or egg-based dishes that were improperly reheated. Egg dishes. Older adults should avoid reheating. Shallow pan of food dish. Warning: risk when reheated. Fried or sunny-side-up eggs. Oxidized oils. Clumpy proteins. Boiled eggs left out too long. High sulfur content. Foul odor. Digestive upset. Egg casseroles, lasagna, sandwiches. Uneven reheating. Bacteria risk. Dense proteins. Egg stews or braised meat with eggs. Protein overload. Hard on weak digestion, especially risky if you have a sensitive stomach, frequent bloating, or slow digestion. Are taking acid-reducing medications, have chronic liver disease, long-standing diabetes, or are recovering from intestinal infections. Smart ways to enjoy leftover eggs: eat fresh, or repurpose cold. If your eggs have cooled down but you still want to use them safely, try this: 3 creative, senior-friendly ways to use cold eggs. Egg salad. Mash boiled eggs with Greek yogurt, mustard, and chopped greens. Serve on whole grain toast. Breakfast platter. Sliced boiled egg with arugula, olives, and avocado on multigrain bread. Protein sauce. Blend cold egg with tofu, lemon, and olive oil to make a rich, creamy topping for salads or wraps. Ma'am, please don't let the egg, a food so perfect in its natural form, turn into a hidden digestive landmine with just one press of the microwave. Eggs are incredibly nutritious, but after 60, every subtle signal from your gut, a bit of bloating, heaviness, discomfort, can be your body whispering, please be more careful. If your stomach feels off after a reheated egg dish, don't ignore it. Try a new way. Your gut will thank you. Mushrooms, heart-healthy heroes or digestive nightmares after 60. If you've ever heard someone say mushrooms are the meat of the plant world, they weren't wrong. Mushrooms are packed with beta-glucans, which help lower cholesterol, ergothioneine, a powerful antioxidant that protects the heart, natural niacin, selenium, and B12, great for memory, nerves, and even hair and skin health, and they come with no sugar, almost no fat, and barely any calories, making them ideal for people with diabetes, high blood pressure, or weight issues. But, and I want you to really listen to this part, if you're regularly reheating mushroom dishes, especially those left overnight, you may be turning this longevity food into the very thing that causes bloating, intestinal pain, or even mild food toxicity. Marcia, 69, from Oregon, was known for her cooking. Every Sunday, she made vegetarian mushroom soup for her church friends, a recipe loved by everyone. But one Monday morning, she showed up at my clinic complaining of unusual bloating, cramping pain in her lower belly, mild fatigue and loose stools that had lingered for 2 days. After some gentle conversation, she admitted, I had a bowl of my soup from Saturday. It was in the fridge, I just reheated it in the microwave. Right away, I suspected protein breakdown in the mushrooms and light fermentation due to uneven storage. She said, I always thought mushroom soup was healthy. I read it's good for the heart. And yes, it is. But only if prepared and stored properly. Once you cook mushrooms, let them cool, then reheat them improperly. They're no longer the safe, healing food you started with. Why reheating mushrooms becomes risky after 60. Mushroom proteins are heat sensitive. Mushrooms contain complex polysaccharide-based proteins, which are delicate. When cooked the first time, these proteins partially break down, making digestion easier. But when reheated, especially in microwaves, those proteins denature further, forming new, harder to digest compounds. In older adults with lower enzyme output, this leads to bloating, gas, and mild abdominal pain, risk of fermentation and mild toxins. If mushrooms are left at room temperature for over 2 hours, or stored hot in sealed containers, anaerobic bacteria can grow. Microwave reheating doesn't always reach even temperatures, allowing bacteria to survive and trigger gut irritation. According to the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, 2020, common mushroom types such as white champignon and portobello may release mild toxins when stored improperly and reheated unevenly, especially in older adults with weak stomach acid or reduced protease enzymes. Who should be extra cautious with reheated mushrooms? Seniors with irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, anyone with a history of ulcerative colitis, colon polyps, or chronic diarrhea, people on vegetarian diets who rely heavily on mushrooms as their main protein, those who've had digestive upset from plant-based proteins in the past, popular mushroom dishes to avoid reheating after 60. Dish hidden dangers when reheated: creamy mushroom soups, high risk of fermentation, curdled fats equals digestive distress, mushroom hot pots or broths, mushrooms break down, broth may become mildly toxic, mushroom fried rice or stir-fry rice, mushrooms equals double risk, bacteria, hard to digest proteins, dumplings or pasta with mushroom fillings, microwaves don't heat evenly, hidden cold spots equals bacterial survival. The right way to enjoy mushrooms safely: mushrooms should be eaten fresh, or only reheated if stored and handled carefully, and reheated thoroughly using a stovetop, not a microwave. Here are safer ways to repurpose leftover mushrooms. Smart, cold-friendly mushroom ideas: chop finely and mix into a grain salad with lentils and herbs, layer into a cold sandwich with vegan pâté and crisp lettuce, blend into a cold hummus spread to serve on whole grain toast. Signs your mushrooms have gone bad after reheating: a sour or fermented smell that's different from the original, cloudy or yellowish water separating from the soup or stew, a slightly tingly throat or sour taste. After eating. If you've ever felt unusually bloated or sluggish after eating leftover mushroom dishes, don't just blame it on eating too much fiber. It may be your body reacting to heat-damaged mushroom proteins or mild fermentation, and that's your gut's quiet way of asking for help. After 60, our digestive system is no longer the warrior it once was. We must eat like we're protecting life, not just filling our stomachs. So next time you reach for that leftover mushroom stew from last night, think of Marcia. A bowl of mushroom soup isn't worth 3 days of gut distress. For foods that actually become healthier when reheated after 60, by this point, you might be wondering, so, should I stop reheating everything I eat? Not quite. After over 30 years as an internist working with older adults, I've come to believe this: food isn't the enemy. The problem lies in how we handle it, and believe it or not, there are certain foods that, when cooled and reheated properly, don't just remain safe, they actually become better for your digestion, blood sugar, heart health, and even your gut microbiome. So let me walk you through 4 specific foods that older adults can, and in some cases, should, reheat. They don't just stay nutritious. They become even more healing after round 2. Potatoes. Reheating helps control blood sugar. Let me tell you about Richard, 67, with type 2 diabetes. After switching from rice to cooled and reheated potatoes, his A1C dropped by 40% in just 2 months. Here's what happened. When potatoes are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, their starch structure changes. Part of it transforms into what's called resistant starch, a form of starch that behaves more like fiber. According to the Journal of Nutrition, 2021, resistant starch isn't digested in the small intestine. Instead, it travels to the colon and feeds beneficial bacteria, helping reduce inflammation, improve gut health, and regulate blood sugar. Why this matters after 60. Blunts blood sugar spikes after meals, increases satiety, helping with weight management, supports the gut microbiome, which weakens with age. How to do it right: boil or roast potatoes, let them cool in the fridge for at least 4 to 6 hours, reheat gently using a steamer or oven, avoid frying, add a drizzle of olive oil, black pepper, and chopped parsley for a delicious, blood sugar-friendly side. Soups. Reheating unlocks collagen and minerals. Agnes, 73, suffered from chronic joint stiffness. She replaced dinner with reheated bone broth. After 6 weeks, her fingers were less stiff, she slept deeper, and digestion had noticeably improved. Here's why. Soups, especially bone broth or slow-simmered vegetable soups, continue releasing nutrients even after they've cooled. Nutrients, 2020, explains. When bones and connective tissue are simmered long enough, compounds like collagen, glycine, magnesium, and potassium are released into the broth. After cooling and reheating, these molecules become more bioavailable, especially helpful for those with weak digestion. Why this matters after 60. Collagen and gelatin lubricate joints and ease stiffness. Glycine promotes relaxation and better sleep. Minerals like calcium, zinc, and potassium strengthen bones and regulate blood pressure. Pro tips: let soups cool for 30 minutes before refrigerating in a shallow container. Reheat thoroughly on the stovetop until bubbling hot, not just lukewarm. Add fresh herbs after reheating for antioxidant benefits and flavor. Beans and lentils. Reheating reduces bloating. Hannah, 64, used to feel bloated after eating freshly cooked lentils, but when she prepped them in advance, cooled them, and reheated them, those symptoms disappeared. Why? Beans are incredibly rich in plant-based protein, soluble and insoluble fiber, magnesium, iron, and folate, but freshly cooked beans contain oligosaccharides, complex sugars that many older adults struggle to digest. When you cool and reheat them, these compounds begin to break down. Journal of Food Biochemistry, 2019, reports, reheating beans after cooling for 12 hours helps break down oligosaccharides, reducing gas production and improving nutrient absorption in elderly individuals. Why this matters after 60, lowers bad cholesterol, LDL, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, helps stabilize blood sugar and blood pressure. Cooking tips: cook beans until tender, let them cool completely before storing, reheat in a pot with a lid and a splash of broth or water, combine with brown rice, soups, or whole grain salads for a hearty, gut-friendly meal. Cooked tomatoes, reheating boosts anti-cancer power. Tomatoes are one of the rare foods that become more nutritious when cooked, and even more so after reheating. Why? It's all thanks to lycopene, a powerful antioxidant. Cooking tomatoes, cooling and then reheating again increases lycopene's bioavailability. American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2017. The bioavailable lycopene content in reheated tomato sauces increased by 27% compared to the first cooking. Why this matters after 60, reduces risk of prostate and colon cancers, fights oxidative stress linked to aging and memory loss, protects heart health and vision. Recipe ideas: make a batch of tomato sauce, cool, store in a jar, reheat and serve with whole grain pasta or sourdough. Combine reheated tomato soup with lentils for a warm, comforting powerhouse. In summary, reheating isn't the enemy, reheating smart is the key to aging well. Food: what happens when reheated? Potatoes forms resistant starch, improves gut health and blood sugar. Soups unlocks collagen, minerals, better joints, deeper sleep. Beans breaks down gas-causing sugars, easier to digest, lower cholesterol. Tomatoes boosts lycopene, stronger anti-cancer and heart protective effects. After warning you about reheating rice, eggs, or mushrooms, I want to remind you that not all leftovers are harmful. Some foods come alive again in the second round, if you understand them. Dr. James, why not try it tonight? Warm up yesterday's bone broth with fresh herbs, reheat a lentil and brown rice salad for lunch, steam cooled potatoes and dip them in warm tomato sauce. Simple, soothing, and just a little smarter every day. 5 reheating mistakes that destroy nutrients, trigger toxins, or upset the stomach after 60. One of the things I often remind my older patients isn't, don't eat this, or you must avoid that. No, it's something simpler, but much more important: you can eat leftovers. But you need to reheat them the right way. Because sometimes, a bowl of nourishing soup, or a tempting egg dish, can turn into a long day of stomach pain, just because someone forgot to stir it, left the lid on, or kept it too long in the fridge. Here are the 5 most common reheating mistakes I've seen among seniors, based on my own medical practice and reports from the CDC and FDA. Reheating in the microwave without stirring halfway. Doctor, I microwaved my soup and it was boiling hot, but I still got a stomach ache. Microwaves heat in spiral electromagnetic waves. That means the outside may steam, while the inside remains cold and moist, a perfect place for bacteria to survive. CDC Food Safety Report 2022 states, nearly 1 in 3 food poisoning cases in seniors were linked to unevenly reheated meals in microwaves, especially dishes with eggs, meats, rice, or sauces. What to do instead? Reheat in small batches, always stir halfway, especially for soup, rice, or anything with filling inside. Check the center of the food. If it isn't steaming, don't eat it yet. Sealing hot food too early before refrigerating. Last night I packed my rice into a closed container while it was still hot. This morning, it smelled off. Hot food, tight lid equals sealed moisture, a playground for bacteria like Clostridium perfringens or Bacillus cereus, especially common in rice, meat, soups, or eggs. International Journal of Food Microbiology, 2020 confirms, sealing freshly cooked food without cooling it first significantly increases the heat-resistant toxins formed within 6 to 12 hours. Safe practice: let food cool at room temperature for no more than 30 minutes, only then, cover it and refrigerate. Use shallow containers to cool food more evenly and quickly. Reheating the same dish multiple times. I made a big pot of soup. I've been reheating just a bit each time. Every time you reheat and cool a dish, bacteria begin to multiply again. With each cycle, toxins form, proteins break down, and the nutritional value drops. After the second reheating, the food may lose 30 to 50% of its nutrients, and even worse, it can become risky to eat. Smart strategy: divide your food into single servings from the start. When eating, only reheat what you plan to finish. Never reheat the whole pot just to leave it sitting again, not tracking how long leftovers have been in the fridge. It's just been 4 to 5 days, doctor. Still smells fine, tasted fine too. This is one of the most dangerous assumptions. Spoiled food isn't always obvious. Bacterial toxins can be invisible, no smell, no color, but they still disrupt digestion and harm gut health. FDA guidelines clearly warn, all cooked food should be consumed within 3 to 4 days of refrigeration, even if it seems fine. Healthy habit: use labels or sticky notes to write the date before storing food. Get used to using up leftovers within 72 hours, especially for older adults. Don't risk it just to save one extra serving. Using the wrong method or device for reheating certain foods. Doctor, when I microwaved the egg casserole, it exploded. And it was still cold in the middle. Some dishes, like egg bakes, stews, beans, braised fish, require deep, even heat. The microwave simply can't reach the inner core reliably. USDA Reheating Guidelines, 2023 recommend, meat, fish, dairy, and egg-based dishes should be reheated on the stove or in the oven to ensure safe temperatures and nutrient preservation. Better alternatives: for soups, use a pot, bring to a gentle boil. For meat, fish, or beans, reheat in a non-stick pan, cover with a lid, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of water or broth. For casseroles or baked pasta, use the oven if available. Bottom line: when you reheat food the right way, leftovers can still nourish you. Common mistake: what to do instead: uneven microwaving, stir halfway through, check center temperature. Sealing hot food too early, let it cool 30 minutes before sealing. Reheating multiple times, divide into portions. Reheat only what you need, ignoring storage dates. Label with date. Use within 3 days. Using the wrong method, use pots, pans, or oven for deep, even heating. I used to think reheating food was just a minor step, but after decades as a physician, I've come to see it differently. It's the quiet beginning of so many days of discomfort. After 60, we don't just eat to live, we eat to live well, to feel strong, and to stay in charge of our health. How reheating changes nutrition, what vitamins you lose, and the surprising foods that become healthier. You know, one of the questions I get asked most in the clinic is this: doctor, if I reheat my food, does it still have nutrients? Or should I just eat it cold? And the answer is, yes. And not quite, because reheating food doesn't just change the flavor, it changes the nutritional structure inside. Some nutrients disappear, some are activated, and some, if reheated the wrong way, can even turn harmful. So let me walk you through both sides of the story. That way, the next time you reheat a meal, you're not just warming your belly, you're also feeding your brain. Part 1: Nutrients that are lost during reheating, and how to protect them. Vitamin C, fragile and easily destroyed, found in leafy greens, bell peppers, broccoli, citrus fruits. Just one round of high heat reheating, especially in the microwave, can destroy 30 to 55% of the vitamin C in your food. Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, 2020. I once had a patient, Mr. Calvin, who reheated kale soup every night. After 3 months, his blood work showed vitamin C levels near deficiency. What to do: don't overheat or boil repeatedly. Add vitamin C-rich veggies right before serving, or eat them cold the next day. Prefer stovetop over microwave when possible. B vitamins, B1, B6, B9, very heat sensitive, found in whole grains, eggs, beans. Liver: when you reheat brown rice, eggs, or lentils for too long, these vitamins can drop by up to 35%. Clinical Nutrition Insights, 2019, low B vitamin levels can cause fatigue, brain fog, poor appetite and even mild memory loss in older adults. Simple tip: when reheating grains or beans, add a splash of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar to help stabilize B vitamins. Avoid over-reheating eggs. Chilled egg salads may actually be better. Part 2: Nutrients that become more powerful after reheating. Lycopene, the anti-cancer nutrient activated by heat, found in tomatoes, tomato sauce, not watermelon. Don't reheat that. When you cook tomatoes, cool them down, then reheat them. Lycopene becomes 2 to 3 times more bioavailable. American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, 2017, supports lower prostate colon cancer risk. Full body antioxidant effects, better skin and vision. An Italian geriatrician once told me, elderly people don't need much food. Just one bowl of reheated tomato sauce a week can help them stay young for another spring. Beta-carotene, more absorbable when cooked and reheated, found in carrots. Sweet potatoes, pumpkin, heat helps break down plant cell walls, releasing more vitamin A. When you reheat stews with carrots or pumpkin, absorption of beta-carotene increases by nearly 40%. Nutrients, 2018, benefits, better night vision, stronger immune system, healthier skin and mucous membranes. Pro tip: add a bit of olive oil or chia seeds after reheating to boost absorption of these fat-soluble nutrients. Resistant starch, a hidden ally for blood sugar and gut health, found in potatoes, brown rice, cooked oats that are chilled. This is a superstar nutrient for people with diabetes. Resistant starch, slows sugar absorption, feeds good gut bacteria, gently cleanses the colon. Journal of Functional Foods, 2020, resistant starch is highest after foods are cooked, cooled, and then gently reheated. Quick summary table: nutrient reheating effect. Smart tip to maximize: vitamin C easily lost, reheat gently, or eat raw/cold next day. B vitamins lose 30 to 40%, add lemon/vinegar, reheat briefly. Lycopene increases absorption, use reheated tomato sauces. Beta-carotene becomes bioavailable, add olive oil, reheat stews. Resistant starch increases after reheating, cool then reheat rice. Oats, potatoes, after 60, we don't need to eat like we're 25 anymore, but every bite needs to count more than ever. If you do it right, a simple reheated meal can become your body's own natural supplement, gentle, healing, and surprisingly powerful. You may have heard someone say this before: what's wrong with eating leftovers? I've done it for years and I'm fine. And I understand, I really do. I grew up in a modest household. We valued every bowl of cold rice, every cup of leftover soup. There were dishes my mother reheated 3 times a day, still warm, still full of love. But your body today isn't the same as it was 10 or 20 years ago. After 60, everything begins to slow down. Your stomach isn't as strong, your liver and kidneys work a little harder. And your gut bacteria can get thrown off balance by just one poorly stored dish. The most dangerous part, we often don't notice, until a simple stomachache turns into 3 days of exhaustion. Poor sleep, indigestion, and lowered immunity. But today, you're different. You've walked with me through all 9 parts of this video. You now know which foods you should never reheat, because they can become toxic, which foods actually get healthier when reheated properly, how to reheat food safely and still keep nutrients, and most importantly, how your body quietly changes after 60, even when you feel fine. Reheating isn't wrong. What's wrong is doing it mindlessly, without understanding, without feeling, and without listening to your own body. Healthy people aren't the ones who follow strict diets, they're the ones who eat with awareness, with love, and with responsibility. One meal at a time. So tonight, before you put that takeout container into the microwave, before you warm up that leftover soup from yesterday, take just 1 minute to remember what we've shared today. Think about Mr. Larry, Ms. Dolores, Ms. Marcia, and think about yourself, someone who's slowly, gently learning to live a healthier, lighter life each day. I can't walk beside you for the rest of your journey into old age, but I can help you walk a little stronger, a little safer, and a lot more peacefully, starting right there, in your kitchen. If this video felt helpful to you, hit subscribe, so I can keep sharing these gentle, no hype, no fear conversations, just heartfelt advice from years in medicine. Leave me a comment below if you've ever had trouble with reheated food. I truly read every word you share, and if you know a senior loved one who might benefit from this, share it softly. Share it with care. That might be all it takes to make someone's week a little better. Eat to live well, live to keep loving, and love to give your life more meaning, one quiet day at a time. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.